In the mid-20th century, it seemed that classical architecture had become obsolete and set to be relegated to the history books. Modernism had emerged as the dominant movement in architecture, leading to a radical break with the past. In a world where form was to follow function, ornament was rejected and historical styles discarded as irrelevant to modern life. But having almost disappeared completely in the 20th century, classical architecture is back. As early as the 1960s, a group of architects began to invoke the classical tradition to critique the sterility of modernism. Ornamentation, such as columns, moldings, pilasters, and cornices, began to be used in unexpected ways in what became known as postmodern architecture. The style became popular in the 80s and 90s, and while most architects merely made references to the past, some were designing classical buildings in a more literal and earnest way. Their reinterpretations of classicism, molded to fit the needs of modern life, gave birth to what is known as new or contemporary classical architecture, a movement emphasizing dialogue with the past and sustainability through long-lasting and well-crafted buildings adapted to their local context. Despite its name, the term doesn't only refer to new buildings in the strictly classical tradition derived from ancient Greece and Rome, but also encompasses related styles like Gothic or Art Deco and other traditional architecture from around the world. The movement has grown as classical instruction was reintroduced in some architecture schools, and institutions as well as prizes were founded to promote it. In this video, I'd like to showcase a selection of notable buildings belonging to this new wave of classical or traditional architecture, taken from 3 different countries. Completed in 1992, the Maitland Robinson Library is located at Downing College, Cambridge, and was designed by architect Quinlan Terry. Dating back to the early years of the 19th century, the college was originally built according to plans by William Wilkins, an architect who had personally visited many ancient ruins in Greece and used his scholarly knowledge of Athenian architecture in this project. Made of load-bearing Ketten stone, the new library pays homage to Wilkins's vision. The powerful Doric portico is inspired by one of his unrealized designs, as well as the gateway into the Roman Agora in Athens, and features a frieze filled with large-scale carved symbols of the subjects taught and studied at the college. The octagonal tower surmounting the library is derived from the Tower of the Winds, another great Athenian monument, and the doorcase combines Greek design with references to Michelangelo's elegant work in the Medici Chapel in Florence. Apart from the library, Terry also designed the Howard Building for the college in the 1980s, and is known for the mixed-use development Richmond Riverside in London and for its enlargement of Brentwood Cathedral, inspired by the early Italian Renaissance and the English Baroque of Sir Christopher Wren. In 2012 saw the completion of the first new purpose-built art gallery to be constructed on London's Bond Street since the early 20th century. Rising gracefully beside its neighbour Sotheby's, the Richard Green Gallery specialises in paintings by masters of modern art, complementing the firm's building at the opposite side of the street, which shows works from the Dutch Golden Age to Impressionism. The gallery maintains a distinct identity whilst fitting seamlessly into elegant Bond Street, known for its prestigious fashion retailers and auction houses. Following the typical 18th century arrangements seen in nearby buildings, the gallery consists of a single-story shopfront, 2 principal floors, and an attic. The Portland stone facade has been designed to incorporate the memory of the 2 previous structures on the site, and although architectural detail is simple, the 3 bas-reliefs by the artist Alexander Stoddart makes it clear that this is a neoclassical building. These illustrate scenes from the Odyssey, chosen as an allegory for the development of modern art from 1900 to the present day. The Richard Green Gallery was designed by George Samaras Smith of Adam Architecture, a firm that has done considerable work in master planning new traditional towns. It also made a new entrance for the Oval Cricket Ground in London and designed a triumphal arch known as the Millennium Gate in Atlanta, Georgia. Nashville, Tennessee is commonly known as Music City, having nurtured some of America's greatest musicians. It's also been called the Athens of the South because of the city's numerous institutions of higher learning and its many examples of classical architecture, including a full-scale replica of the Parthenon. Reinforcing this legacy, the Schermerhorn Symphony Center was constructed from 2003 to 2006 to house the Nashville Symphony and takes inspiration from the great European concert halls of the 19th century. The building occupies an entire city block in the Sobro neighborhood of downtown Nashville and features a monumental ceremonial portico facing a pedestrian way, as well as a colonnaded formal garden with 2 flanking wings facing a park. While the structure reads as neoclassical, the detailing is largely a modern reinterpretation of traditional forms and doesn't strictly follow historical models. The design of its interior rooms has been guided by the need to accommodate modern standards of comfort and amenity while maintaining a classically based ceremonial progression of movement through space. This progression culminates in the building's most important space, the 1,800-seat Laura Turner Concert Hall. Providing vivid acoustical clarity, warmth, and reverberation, the hall can accommodate as many as 115 musicians, and is unusual for its integration of natural light, which streams in through 30 soundproof clerestory windows. The hall can also be transformed from a traditional raked-floor auditorium to a flat floor suitable for cabaret-style seating and other uses compatible with a ballroom. David M. Schwartz Architects, the Washington-based firm behind the project, has also designed a number of other venues for culture and entertainment, like the Bass Performance Hall in Fort Worth, Texas, with a facade featuring 2 48-foot-tall angels, or the Smith Center for the Performing Arts in Las Vegas, with an Art Deco design inspired by the nearby Hoover Dam. Another major project, the new Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, was completed as recently as 2020 and hosts the annual Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. Built on a triangular site at Yale University, the new Polly Murray and Benjamin Franklin colleges carry forward the Gothic style established by James Gamble Rogers in the 1920s and 30s, with this memorial quadrangle and 8 of the university's original 10 residential colleges. Organized around 9 quadrangles and 16 arched passageways, the new buildings accommodate 904 student beds in varying types of suites. Each college has its own 300-seat dining hall and servery, a common room, a library, a faculty lounge, and provides access to shared lower-level recreation spaces. Although similar in size and palette, both have been designed to enjoy their own identity and organization. Prospect Walk, a landscaped pedestrian way that bisects the site, provides east-west circulation and invites students and neighbors to pass between the buildings. 3 towers serve as vertical markers, giving the new colleges a presence on Yale's skyline and visually linking them to Harkness Tower at the center of the campus. Finished in 2017, the project was designed by Robert A. M. Stern Architects, founded by the New York-based architect, professor, writer, and former dean of the Yale School of Architecture. Since the 1970s, the firm has done a wide range of projects, from the glass-clad Comcast Center in Philadelphia to classically inspired New York skyscrapers and the Museum of the American Revolution, to name but a few. The fruit of a dozen years of careful planning, the Chapel of Our Lady of the Most Holy Trinity was dedicated in 2009 and stands as the crown jewel of the Thomas Aquinas College campus. Beautifully situated on a secluded mountain meadow west of Los Angeles, the chapel is conceived in relation to the hills beyond, vertical and soaring up to the heavens. Architect Duncan Stroik has harmoniously combined various influences in its design. The 3-tiered bell tower nods back to California's mission history, while the layout of the building is a cruciform adaptation of the early Christian basilica, surmounted by a Renaissance dome which represents the Catholic College's fidelity to Rome. An elaborately decorated triumphal arch leads you into the chapel. Provided with a subtle and soft color scheme, the interior is bathed in natural light, and lined with rows of marble columns that draw the eye to the altar and the monumental baldacchino looming over it. With its swirling bronze Solomonic columns and an exuberant superstructure, it was inspired by Bernini's baldachin at St. Peter's Basilica. The Thomas Aquinas College Chapel has garnered widespread acclaim and is one of several award-winning works of sacred architecture by Duncan Stroik. Others include the Chapel of the Holy Cross on the Jesuit High School campus in Tampa, Florida, and Christ Chapel at Hillsdale College, Michigan. While neoclassical architecture in Britain and America has tended to adhere fairly closely to historical models, Germany has in the past few decades seen a wave of new buildings that combine the country's neoclassical legacy with a contemporary taste for minimalism, and often aspects of Art Deco and early modernist architecture as well. One of the first major examples of this was the new Hotel Adlon in central Berlin, completed in 1997. Standing directly opposite the Brandenburg Gate, the legendary hotel originally opened its doors in 1907 and welcomed many prominent guests from the Russian Tsar to Charlie Chaplin before being largely destroyed in a fire in 1945. With the fall of the Berlin Wall, the time had come to rebuild, and given the important historic location, it was felt that the new building needed to be based on classical architecture to fit into its context. With this in mind, the firm Patschke, Klotz & Partners made a design that recollects the original hotel without being a replica and without hiding the fact that it's a building from the late 20th century. Although the historically inspired design originally sparked intense controversy, its approach has been emulated by many apartment, hotel, and office complexes around the city. The firm behind the Adlon, now known as Patschke and Partner Architects, has also continued this trend, designing many apartment complexes like the Rosengarten development from 2013, the Klostergarten from 2017, built next to Berlin's oldest Protestant church, and the imposing Kaiserdamm 116 in Berlin-Charlottenburg, completed in 2019. The Eisenzahn 1 was completed in 2016 and spans the length of an unusually wide lot near the Kurfürstendamm Boulevard, considered the Champs-Élysées of Berlin. Fittingly, the apartment building, which was designed by Sebastian Trese architects for developer Ralf Schmitz, was inspired by 19th century Paris. Anchored by an elaborately decorated central entrance, the building is characterized by its gently curved facade, as well as its full-height windows and delicate cornices, creating a picture of timeless elegance. Historically, residential buildings in Berlin were erected as plastered masonry structures, and the Eisenzahn 1 was conceived of and realized in the same material. As a result, despite its peculiarities, the building seamlessly blends into its surroundings to complement the existing streetscape. Behind the facade are 12 residences, offering expansive floor plans with flowing layouts and classically proportioned spaces. The building is also outfitted with a courtyard garden just beyond the lobby. Founded in 2011, Sebastian Trese architects completed their first residential project in Berlin in 2014, a 5-unit villa drawing on the legacy of Prussian architect Carl Friedrich Schinkel. Their projects have since drawn on a wide range of influences, from the Greifweg 14-16 in Düsseldorf, evoking the architecture of Austrian modernist Adolf Loos, to the Achenbachstraße 43-45, referencing the elaborate brick mansions of London. Since 2018, the firm has been working on their first international project, a private residence in Mumbai, adapting the language of 18th century French neoclassicism to India's tropical climate. With a history stretching back over 2,500 years to the archaic temples of ancient Greece, the classical tradition has continued to evolve and adapt to new circumstances for millennia. Although hitting a low point in the mid-20th century, it's very much still alive and in the process of writing the new chapter of 21st century classicism,